Welcome to the Lakers Lounge, as it's still named as of right now. We're going to flip around the names and stuff. A bunch of that stuff's coming down the road, but it's been forever for podcasts in general, and it's been way too long since I spoke to our guest today, Dave Schilling of The Guardian. Dave, how have you been?
I've been great. What do you think about calling it Showtime?
That would be fun. I mean, I hope I would never get big enough to where like actual Showtime would like sue me over it, but
Well, no, I mean like the lake. I don't mean like the network.
yeah.
It's the lake, the Showtime Lake. Call it the Showtime Podcast. I think it makes sense. You can have
Yeah.
that idea for free. Anyway, I've been great, man. I've been at the finals, back and forth from Oakland to Los Angeles the last week and a half, and was really rooting for the Warriors to finish it, so I didn't have to fly back to Oakland. But I'm leaving on Sunday morning, after the day after a wedding, so I'll probably be very hungover on the flight to Oakland, and I'm sure J.A. Adonde is going to be like, "Why is that guy? He smells like liquor. What's wrong with him?" And well, I have a problem. That's what's going on.
I don't know if there's I don't know if there's any other way to fly than hungover. Like I don't, especially.
There's a great way to fly, and that's asleep.
Yes,
Being hungover on a plane sucks.
it does. It does. I just don't know if I've ever flown not being hungover. Just like it always just plays out that way.
You need to figure out, a change for your life. You have a serious issue. Yeah, dude. Come on, man.
All right. So life choices aside, like we said, we were joking before we went on the show today that last time we spoke, Byron Scott was still employed by the Lakers. We weren't sure if the Lakers were going to keep their pick. Kobe was still a Laker, right? It was during the season that we last spoke. So
I believe so. Yeah.
quite a bit has transpired. Of all the developments, keeping the pick, Byron being fired, Luke being hired. Apparently today the cap is, another couple million higher than they even thought it might be. Of all those developments, which do you think is your favorite, and where do you want to start?
I would say my favorite development of all is that the Lakers have hired Jesse Mermians as an assistant coach. I mean, we've been waiting for this moment for a long time to get somebody of his stature on the bench, and I think a championship is not far away.
Please tell me you've heard him speak.
Mr. Murmurous. I have never heard him speak. What does he sound like?
Oh my goodness. I'm going to have to, we might have to Google this, but he honestly sounds like Tony Hawk. Like he looks like, I tweeted out that he looks like Bilbo Baggins and he sounds like Tony Hawk, the way he talks. It's just really funny. They asked him, they asked him after one of the games, or, how did you think about rotations and stuff like this? And he's like, bro, like, dude, he sounds like the turtle from Dory.
That's sick. No wonder Luke Walton hired him. They probably smoke weed together.
Yeah. He tricked Luke Walton into over a blunt.
Oh man,
awesome. I'm not reporting that. I am.
Yeah, no, Luke Walton. I have no idea what his habits are. That's this is all satirical.
Yeah, I'm the one with the poor life choices, not Luke.
Yeah, exactly. But seriously, I think keeping the pick was the most exciting thing. Obviously, it was they stretched it out for pure drama. We kept the pick another year. We really needed that after such a terrible season. This is the gift at the end of a really tumultuous period of Laker history. So I was stoked.
Yeah, I don't think the offseason could have gone much better than it has so far this year, right? I mean, they kept the pick, which was like a coin flip basically. And then even if they kept the pick, but Byron remained employed, I'd still feel really bad about next season. So that 1-2 punch is exactly what we would have wanted. And then, the icing on the cake was getting Luke. There is no way for the offseason to go better to this point. And then if they sign a good free agent, then the Lakers are kind of good again. How do we even handle that?
I don't know, man. Think back to the last 50 years of Laker fandom. I think it'll be fine. I think people will acclimate themselves to victory pretty well.
They didn't acclimate to losing very well at all. We can say
that was the hard part. I think they have to get a free agent this offseason to really make any sort of push for the playoffs. But even if they just get some role players here and there, people to, veteran presences that can still produce under the right system, I'm fine with that. I don't need them to be a playoff contender right now. I just want them to get progressively better.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they're just fun. Like, that's all I'm just looking forward to enjoying Laker games again.
If it's half as fun as watching a Timberwolves game, we'll be fine.
Exactly. So, talking about the draft, then, do you have a preference between Ingram and Simmons?
Well, I think we're not going to have a choice ultimately. But even if we had the number 1 pick, I would take Ingram over Simmons. And I've said this, I think, many times, maybe not publicly on a podcast, but Ingram can shoot. Ingram is a long sort of wing player. That's the position the Lakers haven't filled yet. I don't think they need someone like Ben Simmons, who's a distributor and a ball handler and not a great perimeter shooter. That's exactly what they don't need, because they have like 4 of those guys on the team already. So if for some reason the Sixers take Ingram, they're going to have to, best available, Sam Hinkie model, you have to take Ben Simmons no matter what. And if you get him, then I think someone like Jordan Clarkson's probably expendable, and they can feel comfortable letting him go as a restricted free agent, not matching an offer sheet. But hopefully it doesn't come to that, and they can keep the core together, and we get Ingram, and they can play together. Assuming they can get someone who can play the center position, they can be a fun team.
Who's the last? I was trying to think of this the other day, but who's the last good athletic small forward the Lakers have had? You have to go back quite a ways.
Shannon Brown.
I think he was more like a shooting guard even.
Lamar was like a 3. Lamar was a 3. He was a passing, shooting small forward. I mean, he wasn't a great defender, but he was good for that time.
Mm-hmm.
He did all the things that they needed him to do.
Mm-hmm.
He scored when he had to. So I guess Lamar probably.
I just, it'll be fun watching, especially given the guard quality, and even with Randall being able to handle the ball in the open court, it'd be really fun to watch somebody like Ingram. Which, did you see the clip of him jumping and hitting all of the little, like, he did the vertical test and his head was at the rim?
I don't watch clips, man. I only watch full games. I'm just kidding. No, I haven't seen it, but I'm not surprised by that. That's excellent.
Yeah, just watching this again, because I come back to, I don't think the Lakers are going to be very good next year. You said, unless they sign some crazy free agent, which I don't see happening, I don't think they're going to be particularly good next year. So just be fun. And when you add somebody like Ingram filling the wings while you have, either Russell handling the ball in the open court or Clarkson or Randall, and they get out and run, that's an actually fun team to watch.
Yeah, but they need someone to pass to.
Mm-hmm.
They have to have someone to pass to. And you look at the finals right now, and both teams are playing a lot of the slash and kick that is popular in the NBA. So if you run that system that the Warriors use with a lot of pick and rolls and dribble penetration and passing to open shooters, like Luke Walton will probably want to do, you're gonna need someone who can shoot. Ben Simmons is gonna take a couple years to learn how to shoot effectively in the NBA. Look at how long it took Blake Griffin to develop a 15-foot jump shot, and it still looks like he's a robot. He looks like the machine that spits out bowling balls after you bowl and it comes back. It just kind of shoots out of his hand like that. It's not pleasant motion to watch. It's very robotic. So I would rather have someone who can do those things that the Lakers need right now versus someone who can maybe looks a little redundant, even if he might be a great player. But ultimately, it's not our choice anyway.
Right.
But this is the sort of like Sam Bowie, Michael Jordan issue is, the Trailblazers needed a center. They didn't need a shooting guard. And they drafted a bust, and then the Bulls get Michael Jordan. and he becomes the greatest player of all time. So
what you're saying is Brandon Ingram is definitely going to be the greatest player of all time. That's how that's playing out.
Yeah, I mean, if he comes to Los Angeles, he's going to be the greatest player of all time. Absolutely.
Heard here first, guys.
I gotta say, you mentioned free agents, and I know this is a topic coming up. So why don't we do the natural segue here and talk about LeBron James coming to the Lakers? Because I read Woj is all about it, yeah?
Woj and Simmons and McMenamin back in the day, and apparently he said something to Howard Beck about he would take a pay cut to play with his buddies, stay in his career. It's basically I'm going to go out and buy my LeBron James jersey right now. I'm looking forward to it.
Don't you think that he is going to want to stay if they win Game 7? Who are these people saying that? I gotta pop your bubble here. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. I'm sorry.
It's up
everyone. It's what? Why would he do that? Take a pay cut to do what? He already has. He can live wherever he wants during the season. He likes Akron. He likes Cleveland. He likes Ohio. Well, where's the logic? It's apparently, and I'm reading this thing. It's the weather. He wants to play in a warm weather city again. Don't you think he wants to win a championship again more than he wants to have sunshine and places to surf?
Right. And I mean, if you look at what he's up against right now, right, and a lot of these reports are contingent upon whether or not he actually wins Game 7, which would be a huge upset, right? Like, I can't see him going into. It's hard for me to see him going into Golden State and winning at Golden State, even with the Warriors being a complete and utter mess right now. But if he goes to another warm weather city, if he goes back to Miami, if he comes out here to LA, you're looking at another rebuild in another couple of years before he has another opportunity to maybe be in the same situation he's in right now.
Listen, let's just break it down logically. Okay, if they win and he leaves, then he's abandoning the defending NBA champions. He's abandoning his
the letter,
his city. Yeah, he's abandoning the letter. And he gives up the chance to repeat.
Right. I can't see it. I could see him trying to entice
if they lose, then he's giving up on the challenge of winning a title in Cleveland. So there's no way he's going to leave.
No.
Either way, he looks like a jerk.
Right.
So I don't even know what we're talking about. This is stupid. Say what you want, but this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Right.
This whole topic takes a no.
I wrote about it today, and I honestly can't see it. And the other thing too, I was talking to some other writers there from SB Nation, and from the Lakers standpoint, right? And this is going to sound incredibly homery of me or whatever, but if let's say he does win a title this year, and he somehow convinces, Chris Paul and Dwayne Wade and Carmelo Anthony, and I think Bill Simmons mentioned Joe Johnson. Somehow Chris Bosh hasn't come up, which is kind of weird to me because they did their thing.
Chris Bosh may never play another NBA game in his life.
Yeah, that's kind of what that was where I got at that report too. But let's say all those guys decide we all want to play together and we all want to finish our careers in Los Angeles. So the Lakers, or hypothetically speaking, it could be the Clippers too. They're in Los Angeles as well. People tend to, it's hard to tell sometimes. But let's say the Lakers in that case would have to basically wipe their books completely clean. And you're getting a Chris Paul who, again, missed time in the playoffs because of an injury. Carmelo Anthony, who hasn't really made any noise in the playoffs since he went to New York. Dwayne Wade, who's also on the decline. And LeBron, who at some point, the minutes that he's playing in these finals are going to catch up to him. So you're kind of asking, all right, we're giving up this future that we've trudged through the tanking for 2 consecutive years to get this grouping of guys who are undoubtedly superstars. But if you don't win a title, then the next 15 years of your franchise could be effed up as well. Am I overthinking that as even a premise?
No. I think it's an idiotic decision for everyone. Literally everyone involved in whatever this would be is just a moron. That's all I have to say. I wish I could Stephen A. Smith stretch this out a little bit longer, but I'm not going to do that. This is just dumb.
We're going to start seeing...
LeBron James is 31 years old, and he's going to go play on the equivalent of like a Drew League All-Star team.
Yep.
Instead of like actually having a regular basketball team to play with. Granted, he's probably sick and tired of being the best player on a mediocre basketball team. Because look at the statistics for the Cavaliers, quote unquote, supporting cast for this entire finals, and it's woeful.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's lucky that Kyrie finally found his stroke in game 5. Otherwise, I don't think he could have done it by himself, because he tried to do it by himself last year and they lost in 6 games. Granted, props to LeBron for even getting 2 wins out of that team last year.
That was insane.
But he's doing something almost as difficult, slightly less difficult, because he's got Kyrie this time. And he actually might win this time. So again, I don't see why he would do that at 31. He's got 5 more years at the least left. I could see him playing to 40 and sort of being just a guy who shoots 3-pointers.
Oh, I actually would have gone the other way. I could have seen him getting to like the late 30s and playing like a power forward kind of,
posting up power forward like Magic did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, he's skilled enough to do whatever the heck he wants. But yeah, let's move on. I completely agree. He's staying in Cleveland. I can't imagine him going anywhere at this point in his career. I can't see it. The only reason I would even bring it up is because of the number of people reporting it. But even then, I think it's hey, you know what I could do to get a few clicks and get aggregated a couple times, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just a thing. It's a narrative. It's something that excites people and people speculate on, but there's nothing to it. I don't think it just doesn't make any sense for anyone. And there's no way he's like, I'm coming to the Lakers. I want to play with Brandon Bass.
Even if Russell has played decently, he's not thinking like, oh, that guy, I can't wait to play with that guy.
It's not like Kyrie after the All-Star game MVP, where it's like, oh, this is conceivably one of the best players in the league right now.
Right. So let's go ahead and jump into the actual finals, the actual basketball that's being played. I think it's been a highly interesting while also highly frustrating series, just because of all the stuff that's gone on the court, the games themselves. I think we've played like one actually good game, or they've played one actually good game. But we got to a game 7.
Yeah, it's sort of like it's like National Lampoon's Vacation, basically. It's like the trip there is terrible, but then you get to Wally World at the end. It's super fun because you get to ride the roller coaster and you get the little ears. The games have been boring for the most part. I've actually found the press conferences more exciting than the basketball, just because every game has been such a blowout.
Mm-hmm.
I get 6 blowouts. Like what's happened to these teams? Are they tired?
I think the theory that I've heard floated out that sounded the most logical is that by shooting so many threes, you're going to see these ups and downs and ebbs and flows in a game that you might not have seen prior to this. And it's just, a team's going to pull away faster than they would have, or even catch up faster than they would have back in the day. But I think you have 2 teams that are both really, really, really good when they're playing good, and then kind of whatever when the shots aren't really going in. I don't know.
I think in the Warriors case, every single element has to be in place for them to be great. Mm-hmm. You saw how poorly they played in Game 5 without Draymond. Mm-hmm. And then you saw in Game 6 where maybe Steph's not having the best game in the first quarter. No one had a good game in the first quarter. They scored 11 points. They were very lucky who was it that made was it Iguodala that made the shot, the 2-pointer to get them above double digits right at the end of the first quarter? It was embarrassing.
That's not solid strategy by Kerr to just not score in the first quarter. Like, come on, man.
Not at all. There was one game, I think it was game 2 or it must have been game 2, because it was a game I was at where it was the Cavaliers were up 21-19 in the first quarter. And it's like, oh, this is going to be one of those games where it's a little tight. And then by the third quarter, after Love comes out of it, after the concussion, really, in the second quarter, I believe that was the second quarter, that was when the game really started to shift, and then the Warriors just walked all over them. And by the third quarter, it was a blowout. So other than that game, I really think if you win the first quarter, you win the game. Maybe game 1, too, they had a situation where the Cavs were up. Check here.
What's
I'm
interesting?
Very curious. Do you remember? Do you remember who was up in the first quarter of game 1?
My guess would have been Golden State.
We're about to find out, buddy.
Oh, man.
Thanks to ESPN.com, one of the best sports websites in the world.
The worldwide leader, even. I think that's what they call it.
The worldwide leader in websites. That's right. The Golden State was up 28-24 in the first quarter of game 1. They won every quarter but the third quarter in that. And so I think that's the thing, is whoever jumps out and is hot is going to win. And so I think we'll know who's going to win that game in the first quarter. Which is crazy.
It's hard to argue. Any time in these 7-game series, the sample sizes are going to be small, but that's a pretty notable trend. The other thing that I kind of noticed that was really interesting in this series is how typically the counting stats are what people point to and say so-and-so should be the MVP, right? But more than any other series that I can recall, has gravity played a role in who's considered most valuable, right? Like Steph Curry, according to the counting stats, hasn't been that great, comparatively speaking to what he did in the regular season. But he's become so valuable on a basketball court because they have to pay so much attention to him that it opens up everything else. Same with Kevin Love, that he has quote unquote been bad and has looked bad, but when he's out there spacing the court and the gravity that's affected by having him there on the court, that he becomes more valuable. I don't recall gravity being spoken about the way it has this season ever before. Am I reading too deeply into that? I mean, at the end of the day, I think LeBron should be the MVP regardless of who wins. But gravity, it's like Sandra Bullock is playing in the series.
Oh, man. I wish I had a button where just someone groaned. Two things. Number one, we had the same conversation about the MVP last year. Everybody said it should have been LeBron, and they gave it to Andre Iguodala, even though LeBron James had an amazing series. It's like, well, he missed a couple shots. They forced a couple shots that he didn't make. I mean, come on.
Yes,
he should have been the MVP last year.
I concur.
As for the Steph Curry is not having a great series. Let's look at his lines. So game 1, he had 18 points. He had 4 assists, 9 rebounds. So he almost had a double-double. 9 rebounds for a guy his size against a bigger Cleveland team is very impressive. He was 50% from 3. Free throws are not on. Oh, good job, ESPN. There's no free throw stats on here. No, there are. He didn't shoot a single free throw in game 1.
That's kind of interesting.
Game 2, 19 points. He had 3 assists, 2 steals, 6 of 13 from the field, 3 of 9 from 3. Not great. That was a loss. That was an L that they took. Actually, wait. That was game 2. Hold on. Okay, so game 1, he had 11. Sorry. So that first stat was game 2. I'm sorry. They cut off game 1 for some reason. Game 1, 11 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. That is probably the worst game he played. I mean, just from counting stats, perspective because he only scored 11 points, but they won 104-89. So that your point is well taken about maybe the gravity of just him being around is important and him being a threat. He was only 3 of 8 from 3, which is below average for him. Game 4, when they won 108-97, he scored 38 points.
That was a pretty good game.
And people are like, oh, where's Steph Curry in this series? He scored 38 points.
On the road.
In a very important game on the road for them to go up 3-1. If it was 2-2, Cleveland might have won the series by now. He was 9 of 10 from the free throw line, which I guess inflates his stats a little bit. You think about that, he's getting to the line a lot. But that's part of basketball. So you can't deny the fact that he scored 38 points, even if 10 of them came from the free throw line. He also had 6 assists. He's had 25 points in game 5, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. Sure, they lost. But I guess the stat that you want to look at for that game is he was 5 of 15 from 3.
The turnovers, I believe, have also been an issue with him this
He had 5 turnovers in game 1, 4 in game 2, 6 in game 3, 3 in game 4, 4 in game 5, and 4 in game 6. He had very few turnovers in the first 2 series.
Yeah.
He had 0 turnovers in game 1, 2, and 3 against Portland. He had 0 turnovers in game 2 and 3 and 5 against Houston. But Oklahoma City and Cleveland, he had 7 turnovers in game 1 against Oklahoma City.
Yeah, their length really bothered him.
And the injury happened in the Portland series, or was it the Houston series that he got hurt? He got hurt in Houston series, re-aggravated it in the Portland series, and came back for Oklahoma City. That's why he had 0 turnovers in those games. See, I'm not even paying attention to these statistics. And when all the games he had 0 turnovers, he wasn't playing. Okay, see, I'm just not using my brain. This is what a podcast is like when you don't prepare. It's like, oh, yeah, he had 0 turnovers in game 2 against Houston. He didn't freaking play in game 2.
He didn't miss a shot against Houston. That was crazy.
Wow, he was 0 points? Really? The point, the long-winded point I think I'm trying to make is that he hasn't played that poorly. But then you look at LeBron James, and it's like, wow, he's playing better. Better, and his team is winning, in the last 2 games, and they might win the series. Is there anybody that you really can point to on the Warriors and say, wow, that's the guy who really made it happen? There's Klay Thompson. But then he's had bad games in this series. Harrison Barnes had good games in the first 3 games of the series, 4 games of the series, and then he exploded. He went Chernobyl in game 6. The MVP thing for the finals is always ridiculous because most years it's like, well, let's give it to the best player on the team. Did Kobe Bryant really deserve the MVP for the 2010 NBA Finals? Answer me that question.
2010, that was the Boston series?
Yes. That was the games. They went to game 7, and Kobe Bryant disappeared.
I think he had 16, he had 16 rebounds in that game. I would have given it to him just because it was tough for me. Like, it would have been between him and Powell, I think, for me, or for anybody really.
And you always defer to the superstar.
Yeah. If the
Warriors
tiebreaker,
unless somebody in game 7 for the Warriors has a 40-50 point game, and it's obvious that they're the best offensive weapon on the court, then it's going to be Steph Curry. It's just because it's like, well, let's see, now he's the superstar. It's for him.
Yeah, I'm of the thinking at this point, and I was like this last year, that LeBron should get the MVP no matter what. He's just been there's nobody in his atmosphere as far as who's doing what in the series. Kyrie finally woke up, but LeBron's the reason they're at this point right now. And I mean, you could, like you said, you could say, well, Curry's the most important offensive player. Iguodala was the most important defensive player. Draymond Green was really important. And then you saw his value when he wasn't there in Game 5.
There will be a sneaky Draymond Green vote. There'll be some people who are like, give it to Draymond because they lost Game 5. And
right.
would they have won Game 5 if he was there? It's like, you can't give someone the MVP for their absence, especially for getting suspended for kicking someone in the balls.
Exactly. That's what I was
just going to say. That's not how this works.
You can't. That would make zero sense if Draymond was named MVP.
And if we're going to talk about turnovers, which we have been, LeBron James has been turning the ball over like crazy in this series. He, four turnovers in Game 1, 7 in Game 2, 5 in Game 3, and they won. 7 in Game 4. But then, in Game 5 and 6, he had 2 in Game 5 and 1 in Game 6.
He's been insane the last 2 games. I don't
know what it was. Did he go back to South Beach and take something?
Quick little like detour down to Miami.
Just drank a tumbler full of creatine. I don't know, but he's playing very well. I mean, get it.
Just on
what did he do?
If we want to bring this conversation full circle to a certain extent, we could say, well, maybe that's why he wants to go play in Miami. He seems to have the fountain of youth down there. And he just wants to bathe in that every night. I'm just kidding. He's not actually gonna.
Yeah. Is that what you call it now? We're tiptoeing around the subject here. Anyway, let's move on.
Yes.
I think that if the Cavs win, LeBron James, obviously the MVP. If the Warriors win, either Curry or Draymond, but no one deserves the MVP for the Warriors. They should all get to share a piece of the trophy.
All right. So couple last things here then about the series that I found really interesting. First off, I mean, it's tough at this point when you have a historically great regular season team like the Golden State Warriors, and you have a historically great player in LeBron James, and both teams, like both the Warriors are making a claim for greatest team of all time, and LeBron is making a claim for greatest player of all time. It's hard not to bring up legacy between these two entities. Who has the most at stake, do you think, going into Game 7?
Well, I think the Warriors, even if they don't win, will be together, most likely for a long time. And they're going to keep that core together as best they can. I mean, some pieces will fall away. That's usually what happens in these sorts of runs, especially if they lose. There's going to be some turnover, but Curry and Thompson and Draymond will all be there. Iguodala is probably not going to be around much longer. I mean, you saw in Game 6 how just old he looked. Not able to hang this late in the series. So I don't think they have as much to risk here. This is not the end for them. But then you think about LeBron, right? And he's 2-5 in the finals right now. If he loses Game 7, he's 2-6. Failed against the same team 2 years in a row. Doesn't really have a lot of excuses this time. I mean, you can't really say, oh, well, he didn't have his team at full strength. Sure, Kevin Love is not, he had a concussion, but he wasn't playing well anyway, and they're better without him on the court. So there's nothing where you can point to how this was. I get it. I get why you guys lost this time. This is the best version of this team as comprised right now.
Right.
And this is LeBron James's basketball team. He has his coach. He has all the players that he picked. It's everything that he wanted. And if they still lose, that's going to hurt him. It's going to hurt him. It's going to be difficult for him to spend the next few months of the offseason licking his wounds again.
Right.
And it's going to increase this sort of label, this unfair, I think, label that he's a choke artist or that he can't get it done. It's going to double down on the notion that Cleveland is somehow cursed, which is not. Curses are nonsense. Curses are all in your head. These are fake things. Curses are not real, just like Santa Claus is not real.
Shouts to Lil B.
Yeah, well, that's real. Sorry, my bad. That one's real. I mean, you can't deny that that's real.
It's hard for me to speak against
it.
But
the Cleveland curse. Yeah, you don't want to don't speak against him. Not in public. The Cleveland. I mean, that's ridiculous, but a little piece real. So yeah, I mean, I think LeBron's legacy is not on the line necessarily, but it makes his narrative more complicated. This would be the perfect sort of cap. You lose in the first series, you come back, you play the same team. This time you've got your little buddy Kyrie, and he helps
everybody's
you
healthy.
When you're the first team to ever come back from 3-1 in the finals. It's a great story. The only way they would be better is if Game 7 was in Cleveland.
Now, if I were to play devil's advocate here and say Golden State has equally as much, if not more, at stake, I mean, how many seasons do you think they'll go through in which they'll win 73 games? Right?
Never again. It will never happen again.
And if they lose Game 7, especially at home, after being up 3-1, and they choke away, for lack of a better term, if they choke away that series, that forever changes how we talk about that team and lends credence to all the crotchety old ex-NBA players who've been saying that they're soft and that they aren't as good and that their team could have beaten them and all that stuff. So I guess in that respect, you could, I mean, I guess I am making the argument that Golden State is sitting here with a ton at stake. It's one of the more, would you say this is one of the more interesting Game 7s, even compared to how interesting any Game 7 of the NBA Finals has ever been? I guess that's a lot for me to ask off the top of your head.
2013 had a Game 7, and that was pretty interesting.
That was between.
There was a lot on the line there. That was
Miami
and San Antonio, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, that was an interesting series, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one where, sort of LeBron's legacy was again on the line. LeBron has to prove himself every season.
Poor guy.
It's ridiculous that poor guy has to constantly deal with us saying that he's not that good. Like the stupidest thing I've heard besides that rumor about him going to the Lakers. I think it's interesting, but I mean, that's the great thing about Game 7s in general,
mm-hmm.
is that legacies are on the line every time there's a playoff Game 7 in the NBA, but especially a Finals Game 7, because it changes the history of the league forever.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if San Antonio won Game 7 in 2013.
Right. Or Boston beats the Lakers in LA in 2010. Same kind of thing.
Exactly. So Kobe wins in 2009. It's great. He gets number 4, but then he doesn't get number 5. He loses to the Celtics again.
At home.
At home, yes. At home. Because did they lose in the Garden in Game 6 in 2008?
Yes, they got blown out by 40, I think.
I know. I remember.
The Gatorade.
I think Simmons mentioned it on the podcast with Jimmy Butler, and he's like, yeah, the Lakers lost in 2008. It was hilarious. And I was like, oh. But yeah, everyone is important. The Celtics would have then been the team of that mini dynasty team for
mm-hmm.
the end of the 2000s, as opposed to the Lakers having back-to-backs. Maybe Garnett and Pierce and all of them stick together a couple more years, and Doc doesn't leave to go to the Clippers, and it's just a variety of things would have happened there. San Antonio would have, in 2014, if they had won in 2013, probably been able to repeat that year because they brought the same team back, and they had the same core in philosophy, and it was, this was their chance to finally repeat because they've never done it before. But then again, you think, well, would they have been as motivated in 2014 if they had won in 2013? And so this is a very exciting one. I don't know if it's more exciting than any other one.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, I think it comes down to the game, and Game 7s oftentimes are underwhelming or low-scoring affairs. 2010 was a low-scoring affair where the superstars didn't show up, and it was
a slugfest.
It was a very tense game, but it was a very ugly game. So I anticipate this to also be a very ugly game, just because the series has been very ugly and it's been very chippy, and I think it'll continue to be chippy all the way until the final whistle and somebody races that trophy.
So I guess the last question I have before I wanted to talk a little bit about how people view the Warriors. I think that's really interesting to me. But who wins? Who do you have Game 7?
Well, my initial prediction was Warriors in 7. And I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stick with Warriors in 7. I think that it was always destined to get to this point. Even after each game, we were all kind of like, well, okay, it's going this way. And then the next game, I was like, oh, no, it's going this way. It was always supposed to be here. But I think in my heart that the Warriors are not going to lose an Oracle again. I don't think that crowd will let them lose.
Now, I guess
Game 7s tend to go to the home team.
Yes, historically speaking, it's really hard to win on the road. I guess my thing is I want to know how Iguodala is feeling, because if he's moving like he did in Game 6, then I don't think the Warriors have many other guys that they can throw at LeBron. You can try to go with Draymond on him and all that stuff. But if LeBron wears a cup, I don't know if Draymond's as effective.
LeBron is not the problem. LeBron is not the problem. Everyone else is the problem. LeBron James is going to score 30 or 40 points no matter what. Let me go back to his performance in the 20 NBA Finals. Because they lost that series, obviously. So the question is, how did he perform on average in that series?
36 points and craziness.
Let's see. Yeah, he
I think it was something like 36, 9, and 7.
38.5 points per game, 13.3 rebounds per game, 8.8. He almost averaged a triple-double plus 1.3 steals and half a block per game. And that was with, Timofey Mozgov, Mike Miller, Joe Harris played 22 games in that series, 3 minutes. James Jones was playing serious minutes, and his starting point guard was Matthew Dellavedova. So LeBron James is going to get his no matter what. What you have to do is make sure that Kyrie Irving does not get off. You have to make sure that J.R. Smith does not magically get off, or Shumpert, or these people. Because those are the ones that are going to really do damage. You almost have to just say, all right, LeBron is going to score at will. If he wants to go to the basket, he's going to the basket. And he's going to get his points. And that's what the key, I think, was in the games that they won. Is you look at J.R. Smith and Shumpert, they're shooters. Steph Curry was guarding them and comfortably not guarding them, giving them plenty of space on the wing to just do as they please. And when they did get the ball, more often than not, they were missing. When you got Kevin Love in the game and he's a minus defender, and you add to that Kyrie Irving not being a great defender, there's a lot more opportunities for them to move the Warriors to move the ball. So the Warriors should really want Kevin Love to play heavy minutes in Game 7. But I don't think he will. I think they're going to the end of the bench a little bit. I'm sure he'll come in at the end of the first quarter, into the third quarter, these kinds of things. But I don't think he's going to be there in the clutch. I think Richard Jefferson earned his spot.
Yeah, he'll have a short leash, as they like to say. As soon as Kevin Love looks like he's not right, Lou owes it to his team to just go away. Yeah. All right.
But I think the Warriors are the better team, and they're going to win. They have a deeper bench, and just one or two guys get off, they're going to win.
Yes, and bench role players tend to play better at home too. To your point, so
that's right.
Just for fun, I'll say that the Cavs are going to win, and
you're out of your mind.
We'll wager something off the air or something if we'll figure that out.
If the Cavs win, I'll bring you home some confetti, because I'll be at the game. Covering it for the Guardian, and I'll have plenty of confetti raining down on me, so I'll just take a couple pieces on my way, and here you go. Anthony, congratulations. You won some Game 7 confetti.
Honestly, I think if the Cavs win, you have to frame one of Ayesha Curry's salty tweets and put it up in your house somewhere.
Actually, hold on. If the Cavs win, there won't be confetti because it's on the road, right? They don't have burgundy and gold confetti just in case to rain down all the miserable fans. Instead of that, they should do the blood from Carrie. Remember at the end of Carrie when they doused her in the blood at the prom? They should do that to the Warrior fans if the Cavs win. Just really prank them with some fake blood.
We got out of Game of Thrones. That's what it would look like. All right, so last topic, and then I'll let you go. I found it really interesting, and I actually wrote something that never really was published, but you got a chance to read it, in how we view Steph Curry compared to the average, I guess, especially NBA superstar. And what I found interesting is how the narrative has changed so much regarding the Curry family, really, right? How it's gone from, oh my gosh, they're adorable, they're this wholesome family, and they're everything that the family should hope to be. And then now all of a sudden, Curry is hitting fans with mouth guards, and Ayesha Curry is saying that the NBA is rigged. Have you seen a heel turn quite that drastic? And is there anything to read from it?
You mean besides Shawn Michaels super kicking Marty Jannetty on the barbershop set? Yeah. That's the best heel turn of all time. But yeah, this is a thing. It's does he deal well with adversity?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not. Maybe this is the situation where we finally see his true colors. But I don't like to speculate on human beings and their morals or their
character
values from how their character from how they respond in a basketball game setting, or whatever. Ayesha Curry is just a distraction. It's a thing that we talk about. She probably shouldn't have tweeted that. It was pretty stupid, but at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is what happens on the basketball court and her husband's conduct on the basketball court. I also don't care about the mouth guard thing. I wanted it hurt somebody. Someone's so sad they got to keep Steph Curry's mouth guard. But you know how much that's going to go for on eBay if that person kept it?
Can you think of many...
Oh, yeah, Steph Curry, the MVP got his spit on me. That's awesome.
That said, can you think of any worse things to get hit by on a basketball court without being too obscene?
A cup? Yeah. Somebody flings their cup at you?
That's a good answer.
Not that those guys wear cups anymore.
They should.
Well, yeah, maybe LeBron James or Steven Adams, but yeah, maybe it's a towel that you've rubbed yourself with, your junk with. Anything that's touched your genitals, I think, is a thing you don't want thrown at you.
Mm-hmm. I would happen to agree. All right, so this was a lot of fun. We're gonna see how Game 7 goes, and we're gonna see how after Game 7 what the Lakers do on draft night and then heading into free agency. LeBron James is probably almost definitely 100% staying in Cleveland. I'm willing to report that. I don't think he's going to.
Oh, yeah, you can quote me on that. LeBron James staying in Cleveland. Someone put that on ESPN.com right now. Do it. I said it.
We're putting it on the ticker right now. Thank you very much for hopping on with us today, or with me today. And is there anything, you're going to be going to Game 7. Is there anything in particular that we should keep an eye out for from you from The Guardian?
Yeah, keep an eye out for me on camera if, I wave at the camera. Or in the press conferences, if I ask a stupid question, and you hear my whiny little voice, yeah, hey, Coach, Dave Schilling, Guardian. I just wanted to see, why it is that you played Kevin Love 48 minutes in the game last night or tonight. What was that about? And then he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, kid. And he kicks me out. That's what you look for. That. Watch that on NBA TV. My voice. It was great. I actually got a message from a high school friend's dad saying, I heard you on NBA TV talking to Tyronn Lue in a press conference on a practice day. I was like, okay, thanks.
That's my job. Thank
you. But it's cool, man. It's great.
Yep.
I love it. Best job in the world.
So you are at, is it _? There's Dave _Schilling on Twitter.
Yes, the underscore is very important. Otherwise, you
some random guy,
some white guy named Dave Schilling. He had a bunch of followers when Simmons tweeted his handle after Grantland got shut down. And he's like, "That's I'm not that guy. I'm sorry," he said.
Oh no.
Yeah, we had a real laugh about that.
All right. Well, thank you again for hopping on. Great work so far from The Guardian. Make sure you guys go out and check out the stuff that Dave is writing there. I particularly enjoyed the piece about Taylor Swift and the bad guy from Thor. That was
no
really good.
No one asked you, Anthony, what you like. Okay, keep it to yourself. This is a basketball podcast, man.
Well, in that case, I didn't like it.
That's better. All right.
All right. We'll talk to you later, Dave.
Later, dude.